Hi, my name is James Shepard with ccsalespro.com, and today I want to share 3 quick tips on how to get the merchant agreement completed. Now, we've all had this experience, hopefully you've had this experience, where you close the sale, which is always really exciting. The person says, yes, I'm going to move forward. Then you awkwardly stumble around trying to get your paperwork, and you realize, I don't have the sale yet until they actually sign the agreement. So how do you get the agreement signed and completed? So today I want to give you 3 tips to help you make sure you don't fumble the ball on the goal line right before you get there. You've already got the sale. Now we just want to get the paperwork done smoothly, quickly, and just a nice, easy process, which is going to be good for you, and it's also going to be good for the merchant. So 3 tips real quick. Number 1, know your paperwork. Now, many of you will sell for 2 or 3 or 4 different credit card processing companies. One of the dangers in that is you don't know your paperwork. You don't understand the application process. Some of you might use an online application with one company and a paper application with another one. So make sure, first of all, that you understand the paperwork before you go in to close the sale. The best way that I found to do that is to ask a friend, a family member to block out maybe a half hour for you. Sit down at the kitchen table and have them fill out the paperwork just as if they were a business. So it can be a lot of fun. You basically give them a fake identity, you're the owner of XYZ Pizza Shop, and just have them go through and fill out the paperwork, ask you questions. This is going to help you to identify any areas in the paperwork you don't understand, so you can ask questions from the processing company. Also, it's going to help you to understand that flow of, just how to go through the paperwork in an orderly fashion. So tip number 1, make sure you understand your paperwork. Again, my personal recommendation is use one processing company. You're going to get a lot more leverage with them and a lot more influence as you build one large portfolio with one company versus, 4 tiny portfolios with 4 different companies. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, so understand your paperwork. Tip number 2 is type out as much of your paperwork as possible before you walk into the business. Now, this is actually one area where the online applications, some of them, in my opinion, fall a little bit short. And this is something you need to check on before you use an online application, okay? The best online applications that I've seen allow you to type out a bunch of the information, save it, then email a link to the prospect or to yourself on your iPad or whatever that you can click on and open it up so that it's already got all the other information in there. Now, I am a little bit more old school because I started in the business before they had all the online applications, and so I'm used to the paper applications. And what I like to do is I like to pull up the paper application, whether I'm using some kind of PDF editor, depending on the processing company, or maybe they have an online portal I can use. But I like to go in there and type out as much as I can. If they gave me a statement and they gave me, and I have the Google Maps listing, I can get like 80% of the information from that. All I need is, business name, phone number, address, their average volume, their average ticket size. So you can put all that stuff on the application, and I have terrible handwriting, so I like to have it all typed out and ready to go so that when I walk in, first of all, I look prepared. I look like I was expecting to close the sale in the first place. And also, it just makes it so much easier because the less you have to ask for from the merchant, the easier and the quicker it's going to be to get through the paperwork, okay? So you want to have as much of it typed out as possible. Or again, if you have an online application, many of them have these profiles where you can create an online application, save it for a customer, and then pull it up later to complete it with the merchant. So you're going to want to make sure your processor has something like that you can do. All right. So tip number 1, understand your paperwork. Tip number 2, make sure that you have as much of it as possible typed out. Tip number 3, you want to make sure you're bringing with you a legal pad or a planner, something else that you can look at so that you can be a little bit distracted when you ask for the social security number and the signatures. So what you'll find out is completing the paperwork really just comes down to 2 things. Number 1, having as much of the general information already taken care of, right? You want to have all the address, phone number, having all that stuff just already done. That makes it go really quick. But the other key is getting two pieces of information that are vital to completing the sale, but that are a little bit tricky to get if you're not careful about it. One is their social security number. You got to get the social security number. That's a Visa, MasterCard requirement for any merchant signing up for a merchant account. You have to know who the owner is and make sure you have their social security number. So you got to get that information, and then also you got to get them to actually sign the agreement, okay? So how do you get this? Well, here's what you do. Number one, when you get to the social, it's usually going to be in a section that has all their personal information, personal address, personal phone number, social security number, phone number, all that. So what I do is I take that application, I make sure the top part is filled out that usually has, the basic information about their business, turn it around, slide it over to them with a pen, and take the pen and show them and say, could you go ahead and fill out these 2 lines for me, which would be like all the personal information, and then I hand them the pen. All right, so I just say, can you fill out these 2 lines for me, and hand them the pen. Then as soon as I do that, then I look away at my planner or at my legal pad or whatever, because people hate when you stare at them when they're writing out their social security number. You look like a hungry wolf just waiting to get their social. People don't like that. So you got to look away and have something else that you're doing. I have found that actually on your cell phone, that's not as effective on a cell phone or a tablet, like scrolling through your emails. Then you actually look like you don't care about them anymore. I don't know. Again, it's just a mental thing, a psychological thing, but people don't like that, studies have shown, so I stay away from the electronics there. But I always have like a legal pad or something with me that I can kind of doodle in or whatever, as if I'm getting some kind of work done. Then the same thing with the signature, except you got to make sure you have something in mind that you're going to say before you have them sign each section of it. So I'll do something like, after they fill that out, then I'll flip to that signature page and say, okay, now all I need you to do is right here, if you can complete this part of the paperwork. You don't want to say if you can sign here. If you can complete this part of the paperwork for me, this just, you got to have a line to say. This just authorizes me to open up your account. Right, and then they sign it. And they say down here, if you can sign the personal agreement, this just says that you're personally responsible for the account, and you're going to make sure nothing fraudulent or crazy happens on the account. And whenever you have them sign there, then you're always looking away. So make sure you've gone through that again with your friend or family member. Have a really smooth line. Stay away from lengthy explanations before a signature. Makes it seem a little shady. Okay, just give them one line. This is basically saying this. They sign. This is basically saying this, sign. Or again, if it's a click here that you agree, like an online application, same thing. If you can go ahead and click here that you agree, this basically allows me to go ahead and get this paperwork processed. You got to have a line that you say that gets them to do that. So there's your 3 quick tips for today on how to get the paperwork completed. If you have any other tips, feel free to go to our website, ccsalespro.com. Click on this blog article and give us some comments, or tweet to us, or go on LinkedIn. Give us some comments about how you get the paperwork completed. Maybe any tips that you might have you'd like to share with the agent community. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day.